Dallas Mavericks made plenty of history against the Cleveland Cavaliers as they get a 110-90 win to move to a season-high 11 games above 500. This is the Gray Area right here on Kevin Gray Sports. My name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for all things Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. The Dallas Mavericks moved to 39-28 on the season, now 19-15 at home. 30-14 in their last 44 games after a 110-90 win over the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Mavericks had 3 guys in double figures. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 20 points. Josh Richardson added 18, and Luka Doncic dropped 24 of his own. Luka Doncic became the 4th youngest player in NBA history to reach the 5,000-point mark, doing so with a couple of free throws early on in the first quarter. The Dallas Mavericks raced out to a 62-37 lead at halftime as they held the Cleveland Cavaliers to just 31% from the field and 11% from the three-point line in the first half. An ugly basketball game from the Cleveland Cavaliers, who just simply could not make a shot if their life depended on it. The Dallas Mavericks officially clinched the Southwest Division for the 2020-2021 season, their first division title since the 2009-2010 season, their 4th division title in franchise history. With the win, they obviously stay in the 5th seed in the Western Conference. They will be 2 clear of whomever loses between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Portland Trail Blazers, obviously, as they continue to move forward. A team in the Mavericks that has been playing their terrific basketball as of late. 9 out of 11 that they've won, 9 out of 12 if you want to count the 3 losses that they've had to the Sacramento Kings. I asked Luka Doncic after the game about the fact that this team is 30-14 in their last 44 games, what the message was when this team was 9-14, a team that had lost 10 out of 13 games at one point, and at one point had lost 6 games in a row. Here's what Luka Doncic said about the Mavericks' resiliency during this part of the season. Luka, after a 9-14 start, this team is 30-14 in its last 44 basketball games. What has been the turnaround for this team since that early struggle at the beginning of the season, that season where you guys are now?
I mean, we just weren't ourselves at the beginning. You know, we had a couple of new guys. We had to get to know each other. But since then, I think we're playing pretty good.
So Luka Doncic saying, look, we were going through some different things, obviously. We didn't have some of our guys healthy. And since we've gotten our guys back, we've been able to play really good basketball. And they were able to do so again against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Not the best game in terms of shooting the basketball from either side, but at the same time, what you wanted to see was the Mavericks handle their business, especially against an inferior opponent where they have had trouble this season ensuring that they were beating the kind of competition that was inferior to them, sometimes playing down to their competition. They didn't finish the 3rd and 4th quarters the way that they wanted to, but they had jumped out to such a huge lead at the end of the first half, leading 62-37, that it was all good basically in the second half. You saw a lot of the rookies get a lot of run in this game. Josh Green, Nate Hinton, even Tyler Bay got some run at the very end of this game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Rick Carlisle also made history in this game. He won his 833rd career game, passing Cotton Fitzsimmons for 15th on the all-time coaching wins list in NBA history. So some history being made also for Coach Rick Carlisle as he continues to move forward throughout his illustrious career. Of course, a former NBA championship head coach with the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic got things started in the first quarter with 9 points. Trey Burke hit a half-court buzzer to give the Mavericks a 33-19 lead at the end of the first quarter. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 11 of his 20 points in the first quarter alone, going 4 of 6 from the field. The Cavaliers shot a paltry 32% from the line in this game. Josh Richardson was really good in this game. He went 8 of 13 from the field with his 18 points. He was a plus 15 in the plus-minus category in this game against the Cavaliers, in a game where it felt very businesslike for the Mavericks, given the fact that they had just come off of a really nice win over the Brooklyn Nets, despite the fact that Kyrie Irving had dropped 45 points. So the Mavericks are able to win in back-to-back home games over the Brooklyn Nets and now the Cleveland Cavaliers. I asked Josh Richardson after the game with respect to how this team has been able to remain focused on the task at hand despite the fact that they started 9-14 this season, and what that message was to ensure that they kept their focus throughout this season. Here's what Josh Richardson had to say. Hey, Josh, what was the message for this team after a 9-14 start that sees you now have won 30 of your last 44 games to be in this position to move forward for the rest of this season?
Just about resiliency. I think that we had a lot of adversity early in the season that we had to overcome, and I think that the guys did a good job of, not putting their heads down, not pouting, because nobody's coming to help you. So, I think we did a good job of just figuring it out.
So Josh Richardson echoing similar sentiments to Luka Doncic about being able to stay focused, stay with the task at hand, given the fact that they were able to get healthy as the season went on. And we've heard from different players this season talk about the idea that whomever is healthiest down the stretch toward the end of the season will give themselves a really good opportunity to not only make the playoffs, but potentially make a deep run in the playoffs. And you give the Mavericks credit. As I mentioned, a team that was 9-14 had lost 10 of 13 games at one point on a 6-game losing streak. Questions about Rick Carlisle's ability for his message to still connect with this basketball team. This team was not healthy, dealing with injuries. Kristaps Porzingis trying to work himself back into the lineup. A lot of questions have been answered over the last several months to now, where you have gone 30-14 in your last 44 games, nearly a 700 win percentage in that span, to now find yourself a season high 11 games above 500 and playing your best basketball as you're heading down the stretch, especially as you get ready to go to Cleveland before coming and going to Memphis before coming home to take on the New Orleans Pelicans and the Toronto Raptors before ending your season against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So the Mavericks are playing really good basketball at this point. Would you like to see them finish this game a little bit better, especially in the second half? Of course you would. In the third quarter, Josh Richardson had 7 points. The Mavs shot 50% from the field. Now, the Cavaliers did shoot 50% from the field themselves and outscored the Mavericks 28-24 in that third quarter. But the Mavs were up by 21 going into the fourth, and it was pretty much just hanging on from there, playing a little bit of prevent offense, if you will, for the Mavericks, taking the shot clock down in most possessions in the fourth quarter. But they remained unbothered in this particular game, given how poorly the Cleveland Cavaliers were shooting the ball from the outside. And Colin Sexton did remain aggressive. Jared Allen was pretty good in the pick-and-roll situations, but really other than those two, there really wasn't much offense from the Cleveland Cavaliers in this game. And defensively, the Mavericks did what they had to do in holding the Cleveland Cavaliers to just 38% from the field for this entire game. As we spin this forward now, the Mavericks find themselves going to Cleveland to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers before going to Memphis to take on Ja Morant, then returning home to take on a New Orleans Pelicans team that will not have Zion Williamson, as he has a fractured left finger that will see him miss the rest of the regular season. He is out indefinitely for the New Orleans Pelicans. So things are continuing to trend up for the Mavericks as they continue to move forward here, as they had the second easiest schedule in their last several basketball games here, as they watched the Los Angeles Lakers, the Portland Trail Blazers, and others joust for position inside the tough Western Conference as we head toward the final couple of weeks of the regular season before we head into the play-in tournament and ultimately the playoffs. The Dallas Mavericks now at the 5th seed, now sitting pretty as they continue to move forward for the rest of this regular season, which is going to obviously continue to move forward now with owning the season tiebreakers over the Los Angeles Lakers, over the San Antonio Spurs, obviously over the Memphis Grizzlies. They have a lot of the tiebreakers, and now clinching the Southwest Division is another tiebreaker, because if you do finish in a 3-way tie for the 5th or 6th seed or whatever the case may be, by virtue of winning the division, you will find yourself moving ahead of the teams that you may be possibly in a 3-way tie with. So the Mavericks handling a lot of business in a game where they needed to continue to build momentum, because right now you can't afford to lose games given how tight things are in the Western Conference standings as far as the play-in game is concerned and what you're trying to do to joust for seeding to give yourself the best position to be able to walk into the playoffs with the kind of momentum that the Mavericks are playing with right now. Rick Carlisle, after the game, talking about the idea of what this team was able to do in this game as far as not only defensively but also making sure that they were maintaining their focus given that they were coming off of a back-to-back against the Brooklyn Nets. Here is what Rick Carlisle had to say after the game.
Well, the league has maintained a level of importance with the division. You're referring to if it's a 3-way tie, it becomes very important. And there are other tie-breaking implications as well. So, listen, I think it's something that's always worthwhile. It shows that you're, one of the better teams, certainly, the best team in your region of the league and all that kind of stuff. And, it's a rivalry division. The Southwest has been, about San Antonio, Houston, Memphis. These teams have a history of a lot of rivalry stuff, a lot of playoff stuff. So, it's big, and we'll take it. And like I said, it's important to get this win. Try to get it through this game unscathed, and get ready for Sunday.
So for the Mavericks now, as they move forward, a quality win against the Brooklyn Nets at home. You back it up by, yes, handling your business against an inferior Cleveland Cavalier team. But most importantly, you continue to build the momentum that you need to going into the final few games of this season. And now this team appears to be playing its best basketball when they need to most, given what's happening here. So you give the Mavericks a lot of credit for handling their business. Business still needs to continue to be handled as you go on the road for your next couple of games against the Cleveland Cavaliers, which you should be able to do, and then taking on John Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. No Kristaps Porzingis in this game. No Maxi Kleber in this game, as, of course, Kristaps Porzingis is still dealing with right knee soreness. Maxi Kleber still also dealing with Achilles soreness himself. We will hopefully see both of these players back before the end of the regular season, because as games continue to dwindle down, the questions remain about whether or not you will see Porzingis at all for the rest of the regular season before heading into the playoffs. The same with Maxi Kleber. So we will obviously continue to monitor that situation as far as Maxi Kleber and Kristaps Porzingis are concerned. But plenty of history was made in the American Airlines Center as the Dallas Mavericks get a 110-90 win over the Cleveland Cavaliers. Rick Carlisle moves to 15th place all-time by himself with his 833rd career win. Obviously, Luka Doncic is making history, becoming the 4th youngest player in NBA history to reach the 5,000-point mark. And for the first time since the 2009-2010 season, the Dallas Mavericks win the Southwest Division, their 4th division title in their franchise history. A win, a lot of history made, and immaculate vibes, if you will, for the Dallas Mavericks as they get ready to head to Cleveland to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers to try and get a 2nd consecutive win over the struggling Cleveland Cavaliers. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for all things Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. Make sure you hit the notifications also so you know when these videos pop up, so you don't miss a single thing here on Kevin Gray Sports for all things Mavericks basketball. This has been another episode of The Gray Area. We'll talk to you later. Peace.